Hey guys, it's Tracy here, and I hope you're doing well wherever you are. I just wanted to come on here and offer a couple of things that are coming up for me that I think may be useful as a suggestion for you if you are stuck or feeling like you're in a new position in terms of like your daily life, where you're able to do your work or how you're able to work. And the same goes for your body, where you're able to move, how you're able to move. And I would love to offer something to the wheel. If this is a resonant video, keep watching. But in this video, I'm going to offer a couple of movement prompt ideas and just general things to keep in mind when it comes to today and the upcoming days, weeks, maybe even months. So first thing is first, I think that we're probably going to see a real upsurge in creativity in terms of approaches and opportunities for people to move their body and for people who teach movement to offer that. So you're probably going to see a lot of studios and a lot of individuals scrambling to offer you options in order to continue to train and to continue to move in practice. And I think that that's amazing. Some things that come up for me that I'd like to remind you of is your body is not going to feel the same in this environment that it will be in a more stabilized, regulated place. Not that many of our lives are in a stable, regulated place anyway, but in terms of patterns, like we're in a really de-patterned place right now. And so many of you are probably experiencing a lot of fight, flight, or maybe even freeze in your body as a response to just stress. And so resuming your physical activities in the exact same way that you always have done is going to be better than not moving at all. But actually, I think it could be a really cool opportunity to tune into your needs of the body and what your body is trying to communicate back to you in terms of our experience of our lives right now, and just to be a little bit more sensitive, or at least open space where you can be a little bit more sensitive to the added stress that you either know is in your body or being inflicted upon you through outside sources, or it might even be that you don't know, meaning you could be impacted by your community, by your city, by your state, by the world, by news, by loved ones. There's going to be exposure to a lot of different kinds of emotions, different kinds of thoughts, different kinds of solutions. And all of it is going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot for your body. And so when we are in our community, offering our community moving options, keeping in mind that for many of us, we actually need to rest. And for many of us, it can be nice to offer that surrender, that place where our hands are up and we can't really do very much, and allow your body to also be in that space rather than your body is continually having to produce for you. It's not unlike if you would want an employer or you would want some outside industry or agency to offer you that courtesy as well. With that said, boundaries are going to be a thing. Boundaries are going to be a thing because whether it's in your very own household, in your working space, in your collaborative spaces, in your creative spaces, there's going to be so much different experiences going on, differences of opinion, differences of approaches, different solutions that people want to make for themselves and their businesses and their practices, that it's going to be more important than ever that we're actually aware of what our boundaries are and that we're doing our best. And I know that in every situation is not possible, but we're doing our best not to abandon the limits and the thresholds that our systems, like our mind, our body, our energy, our emotional states can handle, and not really blowing past those thresholds. Unfortunately, it's going to be really uncomfortable, right? Because you may have a boundary like a place you don't want to go, a thing you don't want to do, and you might have a million reasons for that. You know, it could be your health, it could be the health of people around you, or you keeping in mind the health of the full area or the world that you live in. But you may come up against people who are not going to agree with you, not going to feel the same way. And it's going to be very easy to completely bypass your own system and to follow suit because of fear of the repercussions of not following what's right for other people. So I wanted to give you guys a moving cue that can be really helpful when it comes to boundaries. So first things first is just taking a moment to feel your own physical boundary. And this is actually something, shout out to Jess, my partner Jess, for doing this and showing me this, that to really feel yourself, it can be helpful to just feel yourself. I mean, literally feel yourself, right? You can even just put your hands on yourself as a boundary, a physical boundary. And that can also be really nice. And you can take this could be a sensual movement exploration. Doesn't have to be. In fact, being as unproductive as possible can be extremely helpful right now. And just being there to be in space with yourself. Next thing it might feel nice to do is to create a sense of boundary at the space outside of you, right? And you can play with that. You can play with hand placements, right? And this can turn into movement. It may actually feel better to do this like standing up, and you may feel that you want to get into a place where you're adding a little bit of protection. You can play with where your body feels like it needs a boundary. And again, this can turn into a full-on moving practice, or it might just be a mindful meditative exploration. The last thing I'll say is, especially if you're not in a place where you're feeling a lot of support, maybe there's feelings of isolation, it can be really nice to take your hands and place them on areas of your body that need support, maybe your shoulders, and maybe your head. And so my example here is, if you're feeling like a lot of activity here, it can be really nice to let yourself collapse. Let yourself collapse. Couldn't be hands and head connecting. It can be head forward. You can place your head all the way on the ground. You might find that you really need to hold on to your low back, or you really need to protect or place hand placements on your heart. But on top of just feeling your own physical boundary, offering self-support can be really, really helpful, because we also are in a space of social distancing. You may not really have access to get support from other people right now. So it can be really nice to offer that to your own body, right? You as a system, you can think of your own body as its own organization, right? And there's the observer self, that's you, the witness, that is kind of managing and parenting and leading all of this. And so how can you really support yourself as a full organization, right? The last thing that I'll say, and I think this needs to be a part 2, but this is the end of part 1, is that if you find a practice that you're seeing or listening to that sounds like it might be interesting, or you get some sort of yes from your body, do those practices. It is not enough to sit here and listen to me and resonate and nod your head of, oh, that looks like it could really be doing something. Like, go and practice, really practice with yourself. So we'll have a part 2 in a second.